Hello, my name is Rob and welcome to Metal Monthly. This is a video series where we talk about everything that happened in metal music over the past month. It's chilled, it's laid back, we talk about albums, fun stories, things like that. So chill out, I'm gonna have a beer, you can have whatever you want, and let's talk about everything that happened in metal music in September. What am I drinking today? It's Heretic. Oh, that's relevant. Northern Monk Hazy IPA, 6.5%. Interesting. What's it say? Come on, you're a hipster beer. You should be telling me what I can be tasting. A juicy hoppy act of heresy. Oh, okay. With Simcoe, Idaho 7 and Mosaic hops. That doesn't explain anything. Anyway, let's get on with it. Let's begin, as always, with albums. What albums came out in September? First off, we have Escape the Fate with Out of the Shadows. This is an American metalcore, post-hardcore, emo, hard rock band, whatever, something like that, who've been around since 2004. So this is competent metal music. It's not especially fast, although the drums are very heavy, almost like death metal drums at some points, which is weird. The clean melodic sections were really enjoyable and the breakdowns were really good. There was layers of sound, it wasn't just noise. Honestly, actually, I think I've come to like this band through this album, which is, fun. I read that a lot of fans have said that this album is better than their last few albums, but that isn't saying much because their last two albums apparently didn't do very well. So if you were ever a fan of Escape the Fate, check this album out, maybe you'll like it. Next up, Dying Fetus with Make Them Beg for Death. So this is a death metal band, shockingly, who have been around for as long as I have. Both me and Dying Fetus were created in 1991. So, it's not really dying that fast, this fetus. So if anything, this fetus is doing quite well. So, the name's a bit of a misnomer. If it's dying, that fetus is taking its sweet time. So it's a bit misleading, the band name, really. So the drums are fast and heavy as you would kind of expect with a death metal band, and the drums really are the focus of the album. Along with the drums there is a slower, more simple guitar sound, and the vocals are the roughest, most guttural sounds you've ever heard. There are technically lyrics, but fucked if I know what they are. Overall, it's death metal, but it didn't really do a whole lot for me. It all sounded quite similar, and I'm really not a fan of the vocals. But that's just me. Next up, Cavell Attack with Endling. I once described this band as what does the personification of the concept of awesome sound like. And I listened to this album and I stick with that. This is a really, really great album. So Cavell Attack is a Norwegian heavy metal band, and Endling, by the way, is Norwegian for ending, which you probably could have worked out for yourself. So the first song on the album is a bit of a slow burn. It's an 8-minute long song, and the first 4 minutes are a really slow building up of the pace. And then at the 4-minute mark, it kicks into high gear, and it sticks with that for the rest of the album. It's fast guitars, drums, it's riffs from everywhere. It is the soundtrack to an action movie in your imagination. This is an album I can just lose myself listening to it because it's so fun and high energy and vibrant while still being really heavy metal. If you couldn't tell, by the way, I'm recommending this album. Everyone should go listen to this as soon as you finish this video. Next up, Corey Taylor with CMF2. You see, this is the second solo album he's done, and the first one was called CMFT, but now the 2 is meant to replace the T. It works when written down, it doesn't work when you say it out loud. I was really confused with this album when I first discovered it. So this album is a milestone for Corey Taylor because he plays, I think, just about every album on it. He sings, obviously, but he also does lead guitar, rhythm guitar, piano, and he plays the mandolin on this album. Yep. First song is Corey Taylor singing quite slow and light with a mandolin backing, and it's really good, but you kind of go, what is this? And then the second song kicks in and it's basically a Slipknot song, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, there's Corey Taylor, cool. So there is a range of sounds and styles on this album, and it's really enjoyable, if only just because it's Corey Taylor and I love him and I love his voice. His voice is obviously the focus here because it's Corey Taylor, he's got an amazing voice. Apparently he has got a really good vocal range covering 5.5 octaves. Whatever that means, apparently that's good. I don't know. I like drums. That's what I like. Honestly, the songs are a little bit hit and miss, but there is such variety here. There are so many different sounds and styles and speeds of songs. If you like Corey Taylor, check the album out. There's going to be something on it you enjoy. And finally, we have Thy Art Is Murder with Godlike. This is the 6th studio album by the Australian deathcore band Thy Art Is Murder. So this is very heavy, slightly fast heavy metal music with the guitars and the drums and the vocals that are ever so slightly less rough than Dying Fetus. But honestly, I wasn't a big fan of the album. There's no terribly interesting guitar riff, there's no melody there. I was really bored listening to this album, quite frankly. However, I was not bored reading about this album. So this is the 6th studio album by Thy Art Is Murder, and this is the first of their albums to not have lead vocalist CJ McMahon. You see, McMahon was fired one day after the album was released. How did they do that? Well, they got an unnamed vocalist to come in and redo all of his parts without his knowledge, then release the album, then announce to everybody, including him, that he was fired. How does that even happen? I'll tell you how. It's because CJ McMahon is incredibly transphobic. That's about it. You see on Instagram a few months ago, CJ McMahon said some really horrible transphobic things, including that a mother who accepted her trans child should be burned to death. Yeah. So he said these horrible things. The band kind of responded saying that they supported trans people, but it didn't really address the fact that he had said these horrible fucking things. So I think basically they've just gone right in the other direction and just fired him, publicly humiliating him, not even including him on the album, not even telling him he was being fired until everybody knew. It's quite impressive. So after the Instagram debacle, it got taken down and he was very angry about it and said that he was leaving Instagram because of their policies and was instead starting an OnlyFans. But not to post porn, to do the other thing that you do on OnlyFans, post hate speech. But their policies also say that you can't use that for hate speech, so I don't think that went very well either. But who gives a fuck? Seriously, couldn't give a shit what happens to this guy, he's horrible. Anyway, done with that. So next up, Music Festival Explorer. This is my website where I talk about all things music festivals, heavy metal, music, lots of different things. This month I have written a history of Bloodstock, where it started from, which band has played the most times, and why is it still called Bloodstock Open Air. All these things and more will be answered, link in the description, please do read it. And finally we have the fun stories from last month. So first off, Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath made a guest appearance on stage the other day playing Paranoid at the end of the Black Sabbath ballet. Oh, second off, there's a Black Sabbath ballet, apparently. So the Black Sabbath ballet was created in part by Tony Iommi, which is why he appeared on stage. The ballet uses 8 Black Sabbath songs and a collection of new songs in the style of Black Sabbath, which, let's face it, sounds like a cop-out. Tony Iommi said Black Sabbath have always been innovators and never been predictable, and it doesn't come any more unpredictable than this. I'd never imagined pairing Black Sabbath with ballet, but it's got a nice ring to it. And who can argue with that? Let's face it. Link in the description to read more about that, and maybe you can even buy tickets. It is in Birmingham, obviously, and then moving down to London, I believe. I'm interested in getting tickets. It sounds cool. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do click like and subscribe. It really helps me out. My name is Rob, and I will see you in another video very soon.